I watched her on television again tonight. Okay. Every night is like this. That's better. That twisted dark figure staring back at me on the screen. Can't look away, but she fills me with a feeling of dread. I don't know who she is. She isn't there in the morning. The way she speaks feels like it goes past my ears and is only heard directly by my spirit. Move that a little bit more. When I go to sleep, afterwards my dreams are filled with dark, disturbed visions. I'm overcome with a feeling of unease as I wake. However, I cannot resist checking the channel again as soon as I can. Of course, she isn't there. She only appears again in the night, when my hazed cognition, beaten by the misgivings and half-promises of the everyday, manipulates my heavy body back into that seat. That sickening nighttime, as I exist separated from the reality I force myself towards every day, reflected back again into my box where I sit alone. What is it that she is telling me? Can it possibly save me? I watch her on television again tonight. Not yet released. Still in my cocoon. There are forces in this world that can't be explained. Kinda see. Okay. You can never fully understand everything you see in your life. Do you have the guts to come find me? The only one who can answer that is you. 1991-95 Seaside Summer, Reiko. I'm Tsukumo. We'll just say Reiko. In the summer of 1994, I was 15 years old. Just a normal girl. Every summer, I would go live at my dad's house on the west coast, near the ocean. Without fail, once a year, since middle school, something round appears in my arm. Look, can you see it? It's small and black, about the size of a sesame seed. It keeps rising up, and eventually breaks the skin it comes through. When it's almost there, I press on the skin and give it a bit of help, and out it comes. Only one of them come out every year, at the end of the summer. It first happened when I was 12 years old. I happened to be on the beach at the time. I stood there, mystified. I'll never forget how the sunset was so beautiful then. I threw the lump out into the ocean. Maybe for good luck. The next year it happened again, and I was curious. So I carefully opened it up with a knife. A small amount of dry white powder came out. It may sound funny, but I thought about eating it. Ultimately, I decided it was too dangerous and I threw it out. I told my friend Naoko about it and she laughed and laughed. The year after that, the people who lived next door to my dad had their niece stay the summer. Her name was Jennifer. We didn't really get along that well. We would go exploring along the cliff sides or out in the trees. She was nice enough, but one day, towards the end of the summer, she confessed to me her love for one of the boys in town. I told her I thought that boy was pretty lame. Well, eventually, he started crying and hitting me. We got into a bit of a fight. That night at home, I noticed a black thing had come out of my arm during the altercation. Never told her about it. Then the very next year, summer of 1994, I returned again to the seaside town. Again, I felt the feeling I do every year. Return to a familiar place. The excitement of visiting all the spots I love. The beach. My favorite convenience store. The small strip mall nearby. And a larger shopping mall further out from the seaside. The cliffside, well, not the cliffside, but the cliffs by the sea. Small forest where my dad and I would go explore when I was little. The excitement of looking forward to weeks of beautiful weather where I could feel the warm glow of the sun on my skin. Being able to watch the sunset every night on the water, then go inside and listen to music or play video games in the perfect cool night air. My dad does business in Japan, so there are always the coolest new games waiting for me when I arrive each year. There's an all-ages concert venue here that I haven't been to before. The plan for the year was that Naoko was going to come visit in the last month of summer to see some shows with me. Nice little house. Of course, she wanted me to demonstrate what I've told her about my arm too. At the start of the summer, a small dark spot on my arm was already visible. Throughout the course of the 2 months, I was extra careful with my arm, ensuring there wasn't another Jennifer incident. She had not returned. Time went by as it always had. The usual blissful summer passed until the day Naoko showed up. As soon as we met, she asked me to see my arm. I showed her. It was almost ready to come out. She couldn't contain her giggling and excitement, practically jumping up and down. I want one. For what? Shouldn't you go to the hospital? Have you seen the dermatologist? I got her to calm down, but when I let her touch it, she started up all over again. I had never thought much of it until this point, where her excitement was starting to make me wonder what it really was. The day of the concert came, and it happened to be the same day I could show Naoko how the lump comes out of my arm as he waited in line. She was super grossed out but very interested. She wanted to see the white powder, so I put it in my bag for later, wrapped it in a tissue. We had such a good time at the show and forgot all about it. Was it for a few days when it was time to leave the seaside town for another year until I remembered. I was in my room and I had just finished packing up. I reached around in my bag and pulled out the tissue I had wrapped it in. I froze where I stood. It had grown. It felt like minutes, but I finally unraveled the tissue. It was about the size of a golf ball. I dropped it on my desk. It was moving. Cautiously leaning over, I reached out and picked it up between the two fingers. I could feel it move. It felt like it was beating like a heart. I froze, similar to 2 or 3 minutes. Used the tissue to carefully lift the lump, deposit it into a fish tank in my room that had sat empty for years. My dad was calling me from downstairs. It was time to go home. Not thinking straight, I left. Strange lump would be out of sight, not of mine for 10 months. I gotta stare at another part. When I was 9 years old, I had a dream. I was in bed and suddenly the room filled with light, so bright I couldn't see anything. It was like I was just lying in the middle of a white void. Faint figures surrounded me. He grabbed my body and carried me somewhere else. Their touch was gentle and I felt lighter than air. I could hear them talking, but it didn't sound like any language. Just vibrations inside of my ears. I didn't know what they were saying. One held an object above me. Something small. In my vague recollections, something like a crystal or a piece of metal. One took me by the hand. The hand was warm, and the warmth spread throughout my arm. The other pushed the object into my arm. My arm got really hot. Next thing I knew, I was lying down in the sand, an infinite desert. I wandered around, trying to find water. I was so thirsty. When I woke up, I was sweating. I felt sick. I don't remember anything more from that dream. Just a distant recollection of a smile. I don't like that. Okay. So I don't know how many, I guess, stories there are. I guess we'll just keep going, honestly. Next summer, my dad had some important business overseas, so he wouldn't be able to stay with me. It was planned out that Naoko would come live with me in the seaside town. When I got there was a message waiting for me, and Naoko's little brother had broken his leg, and she had to stay behind and help take care of him. Standing in the kitchen, I found myself all alone. No Naoko, no dad, no new video games. I decided I would call my dad to let him know. I took my luggage upstairs to my room first. At least we could find out what happened with the black ball. Opened the door to my room, I stopped dead in my tracks. My backpack hit the floor with a thud. Sitting in the center of the room with a huge black object. Looked almost like it was a beanbag chair, but bigger and more strangely shaped. The material on the outside looked like a shiny leather. There were no signs of a break-in or animal getting in or anything. All doors and windows had been closed when I came in. Then I saw my old fish tank toppled on the floor next to it. The image of the black lump from last year flashed throughout my mind. It couldn't be, right? I thought. There's no way. I snuck up and put one hand on top of the object. The surface felt smooth and soft. My hand shot back as the object had suddenly jiggled violently in reaction to my touch. I jumped back to the doorway. Watched in horror as the skin split open and a thin white liquid split out onto the floor. The room immediately began to smell like opening the window on a rainy day. With a life of its own, the small tear became bigger. Tear. I felt warm liquid at my feet. Began to dry unnaturally fast as it poured across the floor, as it was flowing into nothingness. The room was becoming human. I stepped back and opened the door of the room, standing cautiously. I wanted to run away, but I needed to see. By the time my focus returned to the object, skin had completely peeled back, truly exposing whatever was inside. Sort of mist had built up in the room that obscured my view. Ready to run at the moment's notice, took a step towards it. There was no sound. Nothing was moving. I waited. No sound. No movement. One more step forward. I'm not gonna look. My heart was pounding like crazy. The mist was slowly dispersing while a thick cloud remained above. 2 more steps. The humidity in the room was now thick and smelled strongly of a long day of rain. Still no sign from within. Took the last few steps to meet the object in what felt like 10 minutes. Standing overhead, mustered all of my courage and attempted to wave away the fog with my hands. Started to see the color and texture of the inside fragments as the mist swirled around me. Couldn't be, right? There's no way. My eyes were deceiving me. I was so stunned that I had almost calmed down, distracted by my efforts to clear the fog. By the time it was full view, I had already realized what was inside. I had already had 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 realized what was She was like a bright blue sky. A dark human being was laying there on my bedroom floor, slowly breathing peacefully. This woman had been born right in front of me. It's impossible. There was a warmth in my heart I hadn't felt before. Couldn't see her obscure face, but I was afraid to touch anything. It would have been unthinkable to disturb such an ultimate manifestation of serenity. The experience had sent me away from the seaside town, far away, deep inside myself. A place so deep inside one could not access but a few times in corporeal life. Temperature, sounds, taste, feeling was gone. It was just me, surrounded by the blue sky. When I came back into my mind, I was ready. I took a blanket from my bed and draped it over her body. It was then I noticed there was no remains of the skin of the egg anywhere. It must have dissolved. Strange liquid had dried up completely, leaving no trace. I sat on the bed and waited. Could see the blanket moving with the rhythm of her gentle breathing. He still didn't wake. Anxiety was beginning to build in my chest. Took a pillow to support her head from the hard floor, carefully crept over to her. Hands shaking, I slowly lifted her hair away in order to see her face for the first time. Good morning. It's a beautiful day today. Why don't we go outside? Okay. We won't have to pause it there. I'm not gonna go any further. Yeah. So he just gave birth to human, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna end it here because I'm stressed. Don't know why, but I was expecting a jump scare. I was waiting for it. But this game, I honestly don't remember the name of it. But if you're curious how this plays out and want to play it for yourself, of course, you know, I'll put everything in the description for you to play it. Honestly, if you want to. If you enjoyed this video, of course, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm going to end it here. Cause yeah. And hopefully you had a good day, good yesterday, and better tomorrow. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.